If you run an e-commerce store, or if you're heavily involved in digital marketing, there is a massive, highly lucrative opportunity you might be completely overlooking right now. We see it constantly across the industry. Businesses get so hyper-focused on acquiring brand new audiences that they end up totally neglecting their absolute most valuable asset. And that is, of course, their existing customers. I mean, the cost disparity between finding a totally new buyer and bringing back an old one is just staggering. So today we're going to unpack exactly how the top-performing e-commerce stores are consistently increasing their repeat purchases, and they're doing it using highly targeted, data-driven banner advertising.
Ask yourself this: why ignore your best customers just to chase new ones? It's this psychological trap that so many executives and marketers fall right into. The entire industry kind of obsesses over expensive new customer acquisition, pouring massive and honestly, sometimes bloated budgets into getting a total stranger to make a single, isolated purchase. But the real gold mine? It's the people who have already handed over their credit card. They already know your brand. They understand your product quality. And crucially, they already trust you. In e-commerce, trust is literally the most expensive currency you can acquire. And the beautiful part is, you've already bought it.
Consider the stark contrast between these two distinct pathways. On one side, you have new customer acquisition. This route is typically high cost and, quite frankly, pretty inefficient. It's like throwing a very wide, very expensive net into a vast ocean and just kind of hoping for a bite. You really feel the pain of that wasted ad spend every single quarter. Now, on the other side, we have existing customer re-engagement. This is a highly targeted, incredibly data-rich pathway. You aren't guessing anymore, you aren't crossing your fingers, you have actual historical behavioral data to work with, which drastically improves the likelihood of securing a repeated transaction.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the value of returning customers, dive into the mechanics of repeat banner ads, look at the 5 components of effective campaigns, explore building long-term buying loops, check out the cross-platform ecosystem, and finally, wrap up with mastering the retention phase. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The value of returning customers and how to create predictable revenue.
The core philosophy here is pretty straightforward. Repeat purchases create much more predictable revenue cycles. And, more importantly, they reduce your dependency on continually acquiring new customers. Think about highly competitive, saturated digital markets, like the UK, for example. In the UK, internet penetration is basically universal, and consumers have endless, instantaneous choices right at their fingertips. In hyper-competitive environments exactly like that, customer retention directly dictates your overall revenue consistency. It acts as an anchor, It stabilizes your whole business model and drastically reduces those agonizing marketing cost inefficiencies we were just talking about.
Moving on to Section 2, the mechanics of repeat banner ads, basically the blueprint of retention.
Okay, so repeat purchase banner advertising. It's not just mindlessly spamming ads everywhere across the internet, not at all. It is a highly structured digital marketing method. It deliberately displays visual messages specifically to your existing customers across various digital environments. The whole goal here is to encourage return buys using behavior-based strategies. Think of it as a system designed specifically to keep your highly relevant products visible in the customer's awareness cycle long after they've made that very first purchase. It acts as a polite, perfectly timed visual reminder system rather than some aggressive, in-your-face sales pitch.
Picture the continuous loop of a single customer's journey. It starts with Step 1, their first purchase. Now, that very first interaction inevitably leaves a digital footprint, which leads us right to Step 2, customer data. That incredibly valuable data then powers Step 3, a highly personalized banner. The customer sees this banner maybe days or even weeks later while they're just organically browsing the web. This super relevant reminder quietly triggers Step 4, a return visit, ultimately culminating in Step 5, the repeat purchase. It's just a really elegant, continuous, and highly logical flow.
Section 3. The 5 components of effective campaigns, or how we actually engineer this system.
An effective campaign relies on 5 major components working perfectly in tandem. First, audience segmentation. You have to group customers by their specific buying patterns because a one-size-fits-all approach is practically guaranteed to fail. Second, behavioral tracking. Collecting vital signals like cart history and time spent on pages so you understand their intent. Third is visual consistency, making sure the ads perfectly match your brand aesthetic so recognition is totally immediate. Fourth, timing precision. You want to trigger these ads at the exact right behavioral intervals, striking when the iron is hot. And fifth, product relationship mapping.
Let's dig into that last one, because product relationship mapping is incredibly effective.
Look at how logical this is. If a customer's initial purchase is electronics, let's say a high-end laptop, the banner recommendation isn't just a random item. It's a related accessory, like a wireless mouse or a premium laptop stand. If they buy clothing, like a summer dress, they see complementary fashion products, maybe matching sunglasses. And if they buy consumables, things like coffee beans or skincare that eventually get used up, the system sends replenishment reminders at the exact moment they're probably running out. It works beautifully because you are anticipating the customer's needs before they even consciously realize them.
Section 4. Building long-term buying loops and the psychology of familiarity.
The psychology behind this loop is actually fascinating. Repeated exposure builds recognition memory, and it creates these structured recall pathways that drastically reduce decision time. Our human brains naturally seek the path of least resistance, right? So when your customers see familiar products and familiar branding over and over again, their cognitive recall instantly activates. Because they already have this established reference framework for your brand, it takes significantly less mental effort for them to decide to buy from you a second or third time. You are literally reducing the cognitive friction of all their future shopping sessions.
And this behavioral familiarity, it's fed by specific, high-quality data points. Every single click is a signal. We're talking about browsing history, specific product views, past purchase records, and overall engagement behavior. Now, it's really crucial to understand that this isn't some creepy, invasive tracking. Rather, it's utilizing the exact signals the customer is actively giving you to genuinely improve their future shopping experience. The advertising system simply collects these contextual signals to inform, refine, and ultimately build those long-term purchasing patterns we were just discussing.
Next up, Section 5. The cross-platform ecosystem, or following the digital footprint.
Imagine a typical customer journey today. Consumers are rarely tethered to just one single device anymore. They might start their day on a smartphone, doing some casual browsing and initial interaction during their morning commute. Later that evening, they move over to their laptop, where they finally add the item to their cart and make that official first purchase. A few days later, they're relaxing on the couch with a tablet, just reading the news, and boom, they are presented with a personalized banner that perfectly matches their laptop purchase, which leads to a repeat buy. This is the absolute power of synchronized cross-device tracking. To make that seamless cross-device magic happen behind the scenes, modern e-commerce systems rely heavily on centralized customer data models. These models ensure consistent product messaging whether the customer is on your website, using your mobile app, or browsing some third-party display network. The technical necessity here is breaking down the data silos between your various platforms. The ultimate goal is making sure that the customer's experience remains deeply connected and perfectly personalized, even when their browsing environment or their physical device completely changes.
And finally, Section 6, mastering the retention phase and looking at the complete journey.
Think about the classic e-commerce funnel for a second. You have awareness, then consideration, then the actual purchase. Unfortunately, most companies completely stop their efforts right there. They get the sale and move on. But the real industry winners, they focus obsessively on step 4, retention. Repeat purchase banners operate squarely within this retention stage. The entire strategy acts as this precise mechanism that loops customers directly back into the consideration phase. It is the ultimate growth hack simply because it completely bypasses the need for that customer to go out and do a brand new, highly competitive search.
In highly penetrated digital markets, again, taking the UK as a great example, consumers naturally create massive data environments. Because platform usage is so exceptionally high, the sheer volume of data generated allows these automated banner systems to operate at peak effectiveness. Consumers in these environments are interacting constantly across all sorts of diverse categories, from fashion to electronics to groceries. Having a highly tuned automated retention loop running quietly in the background is absolutely critical if you want to maintain long-term platform dominance, and especially if you want to outpace competitors who are still just blindly chasing new clicks.
So, to tie this all back to that concept of predictable revenue we discussed at the very start, repeat banners are not just one-time standalone advertisements. They form a continuous, highly lucrative ecosystem. A previous purchase generates vital customer data. That data is then used to craft a highly relevant banner. That banner drives an intentional return visit, which directly results in a repeat purchase. It's a living, breathing cycle of retention that leverages previous positive interactions to effortlessly and continuously build deep brand loyalty.
So, I'll leave you with this thought to mull over. Are your post-purchase banners simply ads, or are they a continuous, data-driven engagement loop? Because if you're just indiscriminately throwing ads at past buyers without precision, without strategic timing, and without genuine relevance, you are leaving an enormous amount of money on the table.
it might just be time to seriously rethink your retention strategy and optimize your e-commerce ecosystem so it does the heavy lifting for you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.